despite that, that $1 million smile and all that kind of thing. Zim, you got the lid on. You got the hoodie up. Are you sort of incognito around your neck of the woods right now after Baltimore beat the Bengals last week?
No, it's raining, and it's just one of those days where I'm at here in Maryland. It's raining. How you doing today, Thom?
I'm good, man. How you doing? Are you all right? Are you recovered from the game? Are you still upset about the game? We never got your thoughts right after the game.
Yeah, after the game, I was I was almost like a father that was just super disappointed in his son. Like, come on, what are you doing here? What do you call it? The Bengalis. I was like, hey, little Bengali, get your stuff together. You're better than this. You know not to give this guy the ball back with 2 minutes. Like, what are you doing? Shovel passes, like fourth down. What are you doing here? You got Mixon running for 5 point something yards. I was very disappointed in the Bengalis. So, but I'm sorry I didn't make that show. I was traveling, doing a lot of other stuff too. But there was a big amount of people online that I thought were like so upset that people like myself weren't like in panic mode, because if you look at the numbers, the Bengals still have a 50% chance to go into the playoffs. And last year there were 9 teams that started off at 2-3, and out of those 9 teams, 5 of them still went. I still feel like the Bengals are at the top of the AFC in my opinion. They haven't put it all together, but I will say that the 3 losses that they have a total of 8 points in total. So it's not like they're getting blown out. There are a lot of different issues that are going on throughout this week. I've been putting up plays. I've been diving into film and doing a lot of different things to kind of show people from a play design thing, like, hey, these are things that work. These are things that don't work. I do want to rattle this off for you real quick. And I'm not like, whatever. I'm not a big Zach Taylor fan or whatever, but I will say this. Let's not act like last season. Look at these points totals. This isn't a guy that just got lucky. That's what our opposition always tell us. Scored 34 points, 41 points, 31 points. Got blown out by the Browns. Then 32 points, then 41 points, then 22, 23, 41, 34. You know what I'm saying? Then we played our backups. Then we went to the playoffs, 26, 19. So it's the concept of this guy isn't smart enough to do it. I don't buy into that. The concept of the group by committee not being able to function all together and being able to make adjustments on the fly, I do buy into that. And early in games, it shows, and it puts us down by 10 points. I think that all Bengals fans should take the second, even if you're not a big Colin Cowherd fan, everybody's really got to listen to those Joe Burrow, Colin Cowherd ones. I'm sorry for promoting somebody else's show.
Oh, please. No problem. But our audience is much bigger than his. It's okay.
Right, way bigger. Like, who the hell is this? I just found out about him, right? Like, who the hell is he to Thom Brennaman? But at the same time, Burrow really puts things into perspective on a weekly basis where everybody's just like, this is wrong, this is wrong. He's like, no, I threw an interception, and I was at the game. To me, that's the one thing that people don't talk about. It's almost like the playoff game where Jeremy Hill gets a fumble. Everybody talks about everything that occurs afterwards, and I've always been like, well, if he doesn't fumble, then who cares about all that, right? If Joe Burrow, when the air was sucked out of the stadium, when the Ravens didn't convert on 4th down, then he comes back. I mean, it was so quiet because they were all scared. The interception gave them hope. It turned the noise up. Everything turned at that point. And literally all these different games have 1 or 2 big plays that work in your favor or they don't work in your favor. In last year, I think we started off 3-2 or something at this point or whatever. But last year, it reminded me of the same thing. The Packers game, same thing. We go into overtime. You're like, why the heck isn't Zach letting Joe Burrow do this stuff? The defense doesn't really bail them out at the very end, and the rest is history. And then you look at games like the Jaguars game where they're losing early. Then they come back late in the game. Defense does make a stop. Then the Bengals come out, kick the field goal, and the rest is history. I just think that sometimes people go off on a deep end because they didn't win a game. But you didn't win a game week 1 because you messed up a snap and you couldn't kick it twice. Then you come back against the Cowboys or whatever, and you were severely outmatched at the defensive front. And then who knew? Now look at the Cowboys. They're 4-1, and they're actually a good team. Now you go forward. And then I'm going to take it another step. the common denominator in a lot of these games, because of the deficiencies of Zach Taylor, is T. Higgins. If you ask me, what makes the Bengals special? What's their identity? Their identity is what Joe Burrow told you it was. It's 3 wide receivers that nobody can catch, nobody can stop. Zach Taylor made a whole living off of just throwing 50-yard bombs down the field and led the National Football League in 2021 with it. If you took one away, I think you're seeing like, hey, this guy isn't a mastermind play caller, and that's what it is. But when T. Higgins does play, you did put up 27 points, and had you converted that 4th down that sucked and was terrible, you still would have scored 27 points, and you'd be looking at the Bengals saying, damn, they scored 27 points 3 straight times. But the missing thing, and this isn't an excuse for Zach Taylor, he's got to figure out something way better than this. But if T. Higgins plays in that game, I think they win. If DJ Reader plays in that game, I think they win. But be that as it may, if you think you have a championship level coach, he has to figure out a way to make these adjustments on the fly early in the game. And like Joe Burrow said, you can't go down 10-0 with an average or below average offensive line. You can't win football games like that.
Well, they ran the ball better last week. Your buddy Mixon, for those people who wondered, is this guy starting to slow down? We've seen that with other backs right around his age and all the uses, the touches that Joe has had since coming into the league. He looked like the Mixon of old to me. I mean, he looked sure. He looked quick. He looked decisive. He had a burst. He always has the power. I thought that was very encouraging. I wish he'd have run it more. I said the same thing about Nick Chubb. I don't know how Nick Chubb carries the ball 17 times in a game for the Cleveland Browns and they throw it 35 times. I don't get it. And
they give it to Kareem Hunt.
Well, yeah, right, exactly. They're giving it to Kareem Hunt.
At the end of that game, I don't know if you saw the end of that game. Chubb is killing. Then they give the ball to Kareem Hunt, like in the biggest run of the game. Stupidity. Coaches outthink themselves every week.
But Mixon had to feel good about the game. I know you talked to him, right? He has to feel pretty good. He had the meeting the week before. Things hopefully are moving in the right direction in the run game.
I think that is always what I've said. It's crazy. I had a great dialogue with Willie Anderson and TJ Houshmandzadeh. It was like on my Instagram page, and they were talking about different various ways. And then people like Reggie Wayne stepped into the conversation, and all these other guys that I really, really respect. They were just talking about different ways to be covered too. And I think later in the game, you saw it. There were defensive coordinators do not want to have 6 men in the box and have Joe Mixon run for 5 yards a carry. So then when Burrow would go into, like his thing, and then they started running run pass options, RPOs, he would, hold the ball in the gut of Joe Mixon before he hands it off, and the safety was just run it down. Then you get your single coverage on the outside. And I think this upcoming week, you're going to see teams aren't going to allow you to run for 5-something yards a carry and then keep both of their safeties back. Now, T. Higgins didn't practice again, and I don't know if the Bengals are going to make them pay for doing stuff like that. But I think that the encouraging thing that I took from the game, because there was a lot of bad, it was more bad than good, I thought. But the encouraging thing I can say is that Mixon did run the ball super, super good. The mix of P-Ryan. People ask, what is the Bengals' identity? It's a balanced attack. Now you got P-Ryan, solid force, good in pass protection. You run the ball just as much as you pass, and you take the opportunities that are given to you. A lot of these teams that people are clamoring over right now are super one-dimensional. If they aren't running the football, they're done. Like if you completely stop the Ravens on Sunday night or whatever, like who are they throwing it to? And I was very disappointed in a lot of different things that the Bengals did defensively with Mark Andrews, especially in the red zone when he got the touchdown. I was so disappointed in that because I was sitting there literally saying, we stopped the Chiefs by just taking Kelsey out the game. Do the same thing with Andrews and let these other bums come and try to do whatever. Like, who are these guys? Like, let those dudes do something. But I think moving forward, the run game is the key to everything. If they run the ball efficiently, I think early in games, they had to dumb down the playbook. Stop coming out cute with 5 wide stuff. I told you that one time we were on here.
Yeah.
Do more run pass options just to simplify. Joe, if the safety comes crashing down, keep the ball. Let's throw to our weapons. If the safety stays where he's at, hand it off to Mixon because we know that Mixon can run the ball efficiently. That's what the game should look like at the very beginning of games.
Zim, when I first learned about who you were and you had the long hair, were those dreadlocks you used to have? Is that what they were called? Okay, all right. So you used to have long hair.
People were saying that it's my fault. Did you know that? That's a thing on the internet. They said that the Bengals aren't picking up where they were because of my hair, because I cut the hair.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, look, you were all over my ass about going into savage mode, and believe me, my wife wouldn't even kiss me because I had the beard going and the whole 9 yards. And but I did it. And
you shaved the beard,
there
Thom.
might be something. There might be something to those fans who are wondering, did the dreadlocks have something to do with their success? I think it's a fair question. You don't?
I don't know, man. I'm sitting here wondering, I feel like people, for me, I never knew why I cut my hair. Like I'm a interesting guy in that aspect. It wasn't like I planned it. I just woke up one day and cut it, and I said whatever. But everybody's telling me like a lot of the that we need was kind of was locked into those locks, and we might have lost a little bit of our luster on that one. So
all right,
maybe
I'll
grow my hair out.
Before I let you go, I mean you're looking good. I got to tell you, you're looking good. You're looking handsome. Before I let you go,
thank you.
Well, two things, real quick. Number
she
one,
feeling Tommy. She wasn't feeling Tommy Porcupine though.
No, like she wasn't. Believe me. If you're married long enough, Zim, and you're not married long enough yet, you'll realize it doesn't matter whether you're clean shaven or not. You're always a porcupine. Let me ask you this: prediction on the game Sunday. What do you think they do down in the Bayou?
I think they win, Tom. I would a day ago. I said, man, I don't think the Bengals win. You couldn't sell me on them winning. You couldn't sell me on them losing. I do feel like I'm telling you, man. Them Burrow conversations are super therapeutic in the aspect of he just breaks it down, and I feel like he's talking directly to me. And every single time he's like, I mean, well, if I don't throw that interception, like we win the game. And I'm like, that's what I was saying. And then later in the game, he's like, people like, well, you can't have a thing by committee. He was like, I like it. And I heard someone just say, hey, of course he's going to say that. And I know Joe's dad, we're really tight. He is a coach's son, so of course. But I really feel like they don't like some of the play design stuff. But I do feel like they don't have a problem with that. And I do feel like the players are still confident in their abilities and what they can do. And a lot of fans, I hear a lot of fans say, why aren't they mad? Why aren't they whatever? Because I think they understand that the talent level is there. And then some of the things that they don't like aren't there. And I do think that they can win this game 100%. But it's all about starting off quick. If they could get out on anybody, I think they win any of these games. And I'll take it a step further. If T. Higgins plays the game, book it. It's a dub.
All right, well, it's not looking good, him being in the game. Now, today's Thursday. You got till Sunday. So, good Lord willing, 72 hours from now, he's better. All right, but the most important thing, did you have a question, Casey?
I not a question, more of just a appreciation for a post that you had on Twitter, the route tree.
Thank you.
The route tree
Thank
stuff.
you.
It was talking about Jamar Chase.
That was my
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and explain it for us.
I thought that was crazy. Is that like a new thing online? Is that like I watch the kids do this like on TikTok or something? Like you just literally go to whatever's trending, right? You go to whatever dance is popular, and then you just recreate it, and then the algorithm says that you'll get likes. They literally. So if you guys don't know, I do a show. It's Cincinnati Pod that Porcupine Thom won't be on there, but the real Thom.
I told you I'd be on that show. I said I'll go on anytime you want. Don't throw me in front of the bus on here. I'd go on your show.
So look. So I think I figured it out though. Porcupine Thom had to get cleaned up, and we needed the real Thom Brennaman for the show. But I do a show called Cincinnati Pod. We put out really good tweets, and I thought we had a tweet that showed the route tree of Justin Jefferson, and ironically, it came from a conversation I was having with Chase's dad, and we were just looking at different route trees and stuff. And I said, man, I'm going to put this tweet out just to show people that the tweet got like 1 million impressions in like 14 hours or something. I'm watching all of these experts like Chris Sims and all these people. They're re-putting out the tweet and acting as though like they did it like that. I thought that was insane that like blatantly this is a tweet. They just redid it. Instead of just retweeting it, they just recreated it and acted as though they made the tweet. That's crazy.
That's not good. That's not good. This is the stuff those guys got to be doing on their own. You not only bring the passion and the fire and the every single week as a fan, but you're able to break it down. And, I mean, I think that's why we have you on this show. Before I let you go, there's football, and some might say football is life, but then there's life. My favorite tweet that you put out, by far, has nothing to do with what Jamar Chase and the routes he's running and all that sort of stuff. My favorite tweet was Zim Whodey, the dad, going to a parent-teacher conference. And I'm in the last year of being able to do this. I've been doing it forever with our daughter. She's off in college. Our son is a senior. We have parent-teaching conferences coming up next week. But you went for your son and rave reviews for your son by his teachers.
One of the greatest moments. My son is in first grade, so prior to this, it's like, okay, how are they drawing? Are they able to hold a pencil? Like, this is my first real time. I'm learning on the fly, Tom. Like the marriage thing, I'm learning. I mean, his teacher, Miss Inez. Shout out to Miss Inez. So he goes to a bilingual school, so we're always worried that he isn't going to really know much. I mean, I was so blown away. I smiled for like hours because I couldn't believe this lady was telling me all these different things that I had tried to instill into my son all this time. She's literally telling me everything that I've been saying, but he's such a clown. When he's in the house, we just joke around and you don't really know what they do when they're at school. So she's just like, I mean, he's a leader. If anyone falls, he's the first person to pick them up. He leads everybody in quiet time and all this stuff. And I'm just like, what? And I mean, it blew me away. And she was just like, it is just such a pleasure. My wife was like, well, we were thinking about getting them extra tutoring. She was like, of all students, like, no, this guy doesn't need it. He's like the smartest guy in the class. He's amazing. And my son loves hibachi. So as soon as I picked him up, we took him to like a hibachi place last night. And I mean, I was telling him about all this stuff. I mean, he's so motivated. He's so much further ahead in life than I ever was. I always was shy. I was always scared to fail. I was always scared to succeed. I was always scared to do different things because I cared about what people think. But my son, I mean, like to hear this later be like, he's a leader and he's so fearless and all these different things. I'm like, what? Like, it just blew my mind. I'm so excited. I've never been so excited about any moment. Like, nothing can top the success of your child. Like,
no doubt about it.
I can't explain it. If you don't have kids, I cannot explain it. It was one of the greatest moments of my life.
Well, congratulations to you and your bride, because that's good parenting that leads to getting those kinds of conversations and those kinds of results. I'm very sincerely very happy for you, my man. Tell your bride I said the same, and we'll see what happens Sunday. So have a good weekend. Keep those koi, healthy, happy, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're working out here, Tom. We're still doing some work. I get it. Everybody's a little down. Let's not panic yet. A little woosah moment. I'm with you guys.
A what moment? A what?
A woosah. And woosah. You got to kind of release some of the bad energy sometimes and just let it all out.
Is that like a Zen thing? What is that?
It's like a Zen thing. You remember you told me one time I need to get in touch with my inner Zen.
You do.
And not my Zim. So this is my woosah moment to the Whodey Nation. Like, let's relax. Let's go 3-3. And then we'll pick up pieces and we'll stack it up from there. If they lose this game, then let's come on here and rage, Tom.
Okay. All right, my man.
Let's draw up the signs.
That's the deal.
Let's go outside of Paycor.
Zim, have a good weekend, my man. Thanks for the time.
All right, have a good one. Thanks,
Guys,
Tom.
the best, man.